Good morning, everybody. We're back to our normal schedule here on Saturday morning. We're the Talking Hats, Dale and Harish, coming at you to bring up the this week's latest sports news. Another action-packed week, even with the NFL. Still off season, there's still a lot going on. A lot of news in that regard. And we have, of course, got NBA playoffs to jump into, some end of the regular season hockey news. And yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off. Harish, get us going.
So, in the past couple of days, Ron was talking about how they've found as Carson Wentz is the end-all quarterback for them, and they can see that he's the perfect fit for the Commanders. See, I'm on the fence on this because I've always stated, and you can back me up on this as well, is that which Carson Wentz is this going to be? Is it going to be the MVP Carson Wentz where he's actually going to be playing like at that level? Or is he going to be the fumbling and bumbling Carson Wentz, thinks that he can do everything himself, even with the talent around him? So luckily, it's not a bad move to make. It's not a bad thing to say that he is the quarterback, because now you have put confidence in him again to say that he is going to be the day one starter. There's no competition in camp. And he can come in and do his thing. Taylor Heineke now is being used as trade bait. And I was reading on certain articles and other media websites, which is not bad either. So maybe when the draft comes, they may throw Taylor Heineke in for maybe getting another draft pick or two or some cash. I don't know if that's a play, but to say that Carson Wentz is the starter, it gives everybody kind of a sense of ease, because maybe this is the first time in a long time that the Commanders or the Washington area is not going into a quarterback controversy until he starts playing bad. But those are kind of my thoughts about like what he kind of wanted to do. But I don't know what you, because I know you're not a big fan of Carson Wentz, but from a
That's
perspective,
putting it nicely.
That is putting it nicely, but it's almost like, do you feel that they have to say this to make the fan base kind of want to like him? Because the fan base is split, like how I am. I mean, Definitely. They're split. So, yeah. So my whole thing is are they saying it A, to give Carson confidence, and B, to make the fan base saying that there's not going to be a quarterback competition and we're good with who we picked?
You know, when I saw this news come out this week, I don't know where it came from exactly. I don't know if they're trying to put some subterfuge out there to throw somebody off on what they're looking at in the draft. Maybe this is coming out because their main target really is a quarterback at 11. I'd be stunned if that was the case. To me, you don't bring a guy in and give him $28 million if your first pick is going to be at quarterback. If you spend your first round pick on a quarterback, even if he doesn't start the season as the starter, at some point during the season he needs to be your starter. And if you're going to do that, Taylor Heineke could have been the guy. So I'm hoping that's not what they're doing. But at this time of year, like I've said before, this is the lying. This is the masking what you're actually trying to do. So I can't rule it out that that's what they're actually going to do, but I'll just say I hope that that's not what they're aiming to do there. Like I've said before, if Malik Willis falls to them there, then they just got lucky. That can't be the plan though, because nobody's expecting that. Although he is for some reason starting to slide, and guys like Kenny Pickett, Kenny Two Gloves are starting to move up the boards. Matt Corral, even I've heard mentioned moving up. So, like I said, there's so much going on. It's hard to get a read on what's really happening. But if this is real, if this is 100% real, that the Commanders are sold on Wentz as their long-term solution at quarterback, then they're sold on being a mediocre team at best for the next 5 years. If long-term, I mean 4 to 5 years. That's what they're sold on. They're trying to get out ahead of it early to sell the fan base on, hey, we're gonna be hanging out around that last playoff spot, maybe. Because I don't, like you said, I don't believe in Carson Wentz. I don't believe he can change. He had a great coach there, Frank Reich in Indy. If you're going to change, you're going to change for a guy like that, a guy who's been there in the trenches and who has done it and has success at the position. And he wouldn't listen to the coaches. So I think I said this on the previous show. If he showed then that he can't do it, is he getting more mature towards 30? Maybe. I wouldn't bet on that though. I can't. That's not something I can count on. I'm not buying this news. I don't like it. I want to be that's my team. Born and raised in DC. I want to keep rooting, but being out here in Colorado now that I have another option, if this stuff keeps going on, man, I don't know. I don't know how much longer I can keep riding.
But the thing is, like I believe that he had to have said that. Like as the head coach, that was the decision you and Martin Mayhew
For Carson's psyche, or for just because that's how they really feel.
Both.
You think okay?
I think it's both, and the reason why I'm saying it's both because Carson Wentz wants to feel loved. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to massage his ego a little bit. That's just my taking, and you have to kind of give the fan base that we're a united front, because some coaches and some GMs do not get along, and you can see it transition onto the field. So with all the turmoil that has been going on in the offices of the command post, I'm going to call it, it is horrendously bad. Everybody knows the accusations from Dan he's getting, and that's heating up now. There's a lot. I mean, in all personal opinion, I think it left the coach and the GM pretty much out to dry because of all this shenanigans going on. So they're like, we have to be a united front making any decision going forth, and we both have to like the players that are coming in, and we both have to evaluate what is best. And it almost has to be like they're forced into a position where you have to make the fan base kind of put at ease, but they also know, the fans like you or I, we know that there's more to that story, because
I just don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know if it's draft subterfuge. I don't know if it is just massaging his ego and psyche. If they really mean it, I don't. This is a message that can have multiple meanings, or it can just be as cut and dry and black and white as we really believe this is our guy. Maybe they really do.
And that's where I always have to tread very carefully, is because if you put all your energy into that individual, you're kind of missing out on other talent, because Carson Wentz is not the talented quarterback in the league. He's up there, but he's not like your top 5.
Talent-wise, I think just talent.
He just can talent run, alone.
He can run, and he has a good arm. Nobody has ever questioned his talent. You question his leadership and his mentality.
But see, that's what I feel that's happening, is they're trying to play seesaw battle, right? You can't stroke his ego too much, and you can't let down the fans too much. They're trying to balance themselves so that when they go into the season, people can be like, they finally have their stuff together. Instead of saying, oh, not another season, we don't know who the quarterback is. Oh, we don't know what this is. But now, if they feel that, as you stated, if they feel that this is it, they have to be all in. They can't look at another quarterback, even if Malik Williams does fall in their lap, they cannot even entertain that. Because if that does happen, even though I would love to draft him at number 11, but as you stated, they need offensive power to grow this team. And if Malik Willis is dropping, I believe if he drops to the second round and he's there when you pick him in the second round, he's not a first round draft pick, and to allocate that much money to him. So they have to help Carson out. If that's the way they're going, they have to go offensive. Like, doesn't matter if it's line or receiver, they have to go offensive line in the draft. And people were talking about, defensive this, defensive that. Most of these guys,
I've heard Kyle Hamilton in a couple of mock drafts being mocked to them at number 11. He's a great player. He ran a slower 40 than expected, but as far as his impact on the field, there's no question about that. On defense, even with that edge rusher, the dude from Michigan, I keep forgetting his name, even with him being projected as the number 1 pick, Hamilton and his impact, I've seen mock drafts with him going at number 1. So if he falls to 11, if he falls to 11 and they made that pick, as much as I want them, and I said that if they make a defensive pick, then they're committing to sucking and not making the playoffs this year. I might be willing to make an exception for him. Not completely sold on that yet, because I feel like they need the pieces for Wentz. But if Hamilton happens to make it there, then maybe I'll bend and say that that's okay.
So do you think? Oh, sorry, go ahead. No. So what I was thinking is, like, you know how Michael Parsons fell to the Cowboys because because the Skins didn't. I mean, sorry, not the sorry. That the Commanders did not take him because the Commanders did have a shot at Michael Parsons, but with all that noise that happened behind the scenes, they're like, we don't want to take a chance on it. But do you think a Kyle Hamilton type player can be like a Micah Parsons for the Commanders, and he can be that kind of impact? And if that's so, then
possibly.
So see, and that's why I was on the fence after you said that. My brain started churning. Is like, well, if he's the best player at 11, like if Olave and Wilson go before him, and he falls to number 11, which I don't think is going to happen, but if it does, you have to take him. You just have to. You cannot take anybody else, because if you have let's say, this is hypothetical now. I'm not saying if he's that missing piece to a championship defense, which this team I can foresee be, then you can't pass him up, or else then Martin Mayhew and all that scouting is for naught. It really is for naught. And you can't have like an impact player like that not be you can't miss up a player like that. You just can't.
The thing is, though, with that, I can't have that be a gamble. They have to review his film and be absolutely certain that he can come in and have a Micah Parsons impact. Nothing less. Micah Parsons was a game. He was a defense in and of himself, because the chaos he wreaked in the backfield made the rest of that defense better. So if Kyle Hamilton can come in and have that sort of impact on a defense, there's no question. And if that's the case, he's not going to make it to 11. If teams view him as that, there's no chance he makes it to 11. Yeah. But if he did, and if he did, and they're sure he'll have that impact, you got to take him there. Outside of that, though, you got to get Wentz some pieces if he's your guy. If you believe he's your guy, and not only that, after the draft, after mini camps are wrapped up and they've seen what they wanted to see, you got to extend him. He can't be on a 1-year deal if he's your guy, because then next year it gets more expensive.
Oh, so you're saying so that's a great point you bring up, though.
If they feel he's their long-term solution at QB, you got to give him a contract right after minicamps are over and everything looks good. If it all looks good after minicamps, you got to extend them out 4 years.
So then how does that play into Terry's situation, though, right? Because then
that might help that, because it should give a little cap relief if you extend them.
But that's a very valid point that you just brought up, though, because people are saying this is like his contract year, right? He has to play like that. But if you're saying that he's your guy, Ron said it, everybody's saying it, you have to sign him, or else then you're just back to square one again next year. And as you stated, the market has gotten more expensive. Like all the receivers now are getting triple digits, almost close to triple digits now. And the quarterback itself is, I think Russell, was it Russell or was it Patrick Mahomes that blew the market?
No, Aaron Rodgers now.
It was Aaron Rodgers now? Yeah. So as things go on, like as we stated before in previous shows, the salaries are going to get so astronomical. You want to control that early on, and so that you're not in the end and saying, oh my God, who do we have to let go to compensate for his salary to make it up? And that's a very valid point.
I think that will tell the true story as to whether or not they truly view him as their long-term solution. That'll put the period on it. If that's true, then he's going to get an extension this offseason. Yeah, this also and I think no one is even talking about that. That's a very awesome point you made, because people are just talking about next year. People are not bringing up the point where if he's your all future quarterback for the future, you got to get him signed now where the money is right. The money is right now, instead of next year where you have no idea. The market can increase by 10%, 20%, dependent upon how Herbert or any other quarterbacks play. So that's a very, very good point to bring up, because no one's talking about that. Yeah, switching back into their draft needs and all that and what they're going to do. Guys that they have been rumored to target, such as Olave and Garrett Wilson. Those two guys seem to be sliding a little bit, and guys like Drake London, who's coming off an injury, are starting to move up the charts. And there was another receiver that
Jamison Williams.
I mentioned. He's going to be the first receiver taken, so that he won't make it to them. There was another guy, the Texas A&M guy that I mentioned before, the big body guy. I heard him moving up the boards too. Traylon Burke, maybe, I think that's his name, Traylon Burke. I've heard these guys are moving up. So would that change? Do these rumors affect what the Commanders are going to do there. I don't think. I think if Olave is still there at 11, or even Wilson, they're so similar. If either one of them are there at 11 and the other guys are gone, and if London is there, I don't.
You have to.
He seems small to me. At 6'4", he seems kind of skinny. But the things I'm hearing about, I've never seen the dude play. But the things I'm hearing about him, and the way he's rumored to be such an impact player, if he's there, I mean, just from the rumors, I'm kind of intrigued. It's kind of enticing. Maybe it just, to me, the safer pick. I mean, London might have such a high ceiling because he's so tall and fast. But the safer picks are the Ohio State guys, and Ohio State receivers don't tend to miss. Like, those are safe picks. And then you've got the rapport with McLaurin already. I think that's your safer pick. And I'm offensive side of the ball. I mean, I want them to go there, but I think the move needs to be receiver. That's going to help Wentz the most. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree with you more, but it's kind of surprising that like Olave and Wilson are dropping because, as you stated, this is the season.
Rumors, but
I'm saying this is the season of lies,
right?
But I want to hark back on Olave in instances like where Eddie was on our show and he was saying that you can't teach speed. His speed is astronomically like insane, and if he comes to a number 11, you have to draft him. Doesn't matter ands, ifs, or but you can't even think about anybody else. You just can't, because with that alone, with that speed alone, you can win 9 times out of 10. And his route running is exceptional. Mm-hmm. I mean, he can turn. He's like in my opinion, he's like a Djax. He reminds me of a Djax in the sense that with better route running, because Djax is just a straight down receiver. But with him, he can make the move and one foot in the ground and go. And it's almost like if you can get a receiver like that, come to number 11, it's a blessing for not only the Commanders, not only for Carson Wentz, but also for Terry, because as you just mentioned, they have that rapport, and having a teammate that you've actually played with at least for a year, you guys can train in the off season. You can train each other to, do what's right, what's not working, be in the film room with Carson, kind of say, hey, I like these plays, not those plays, and kind of work around it and just be a sponge. And I think if that's the case, yeah. But my biggest fear is these guys are not going to drop to 11. They're going to get picked in the first maybe 6. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Number 1 is the Jacksonville draft. They're going Hutchinson or the defensive or another defensive player. But in the next like 6 positions after that, these guys can go. After the first 2, in that 3 through 8, I think whoever needs a receiver, they're going to pick them. They're not going to let them go.
Yeah, and Jamison Williams is rumored to be he's going to be the first pick at receiver because even with the ACL injury in the college football playoff, he's still going to be the first pick because his comp is Tyreek Hill. You're not going to pass on Tyreek Hill even coming off an injury. So if that's his comp, he's going to be. There's no doubt about that one. After that, it's a crapshoot.
For me, like for him, I think he may drop. I think he will. Jamison Williams. I think he will drop.
No, he won't.
You don't think so?
No.
The reason why
I don't have any doubt about that.
The reason why I'm saying that is as you say, with an ACL injury, he didn't perform in the combine. He didn't do anything that kind of showed his true talent.
None of that has hurt his stock whatsoever.
Really,
he's still the consensus number 1 pick at receiver.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You would think it would hurt, but he's just so good that he's going to be the guy, and nothing has come out to the contrary. Everybody is saying he's still going to be the first pick.
Yeah, because I went back and saw he got injured in the national championship game, so I saw previously and I'm like, this guy, like even with the ACL, it's no doubt he's going to be the first receiver taken off the board. But there's always an inkling to me that some teams may stray away from him because of that. Because they don't want to, he's a work in progress. Now it's almost like he's a project instead of a sure thing. And that's the only like kind of scariness maybe some teams may look at. But hey.
But he's ahead of schedule right now in the rehab, and he's due to be back by training camp. So with that being the case, I mean it's not really that big of a risk.
No, it really isn't. I always get afraid when people have injuries during the last like game or anything going.
Yeah, I don't love it. I'm not saying I'm not saying if I were making a pick, it would be
Right.
my choice there.
Right. Yeah.
I would really have to, like, I'd have to know that he's going to be Tyreek Hill, which is his comp. I would have to know that's going to happen to make me to feel safe making that pick.
100. That's where I think I should have stated it better. And so that if I was doing it, I would not pick him. I would move on. And if he becomes a great receiver, you have to say, okay, I bit the bullet, but I'd rather be like kind of looking at what's the safest bet. And sometimes it's a roll of the dice. It's a crapshoot. So
I still will pick him. ACL injuries don't scare me like they used to. It's really something that's kind of expected now, and that you come back from it so easily. And like Adrian Peterson and this dude being so young, like I don't expect him to have any ill effects from it. It's like in baseball with Tommy John, you expect that now, and then the guys come back and they're fine. Like freaking Hunter Green, I tweeted about him this week. He's out. He had a Tommy John a year and a half ago. He's out there now. The Reds ace throwing 104. Like
104.
This stuff doesn't scare you anymore. So I expect him to be fine. I expect him to be an impact player this season. So do you want to take a break or do you want to keep going?
I'm gonna take a break and then we can come back. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna wrap up this first NFL segment here. We've got a little bit more NFL to talk about, just a little bit though. We'll come back and do that. Talking Hats will be right back. We're the Talking Hats. We're back from break here. We're going to pick things up here with some more NFL news. Start things off with Kyler Murray and some news that came out this week. Go ahead and get it started.
So the GM said they're not going to trade Kyler Murray in any way, shape, or form.
0%
that's kind
chance.
And that's kind of shocking to me. And the reason why I'm saying that is if I was a GM and you put all your chips into one player and that one player is speaking all this noise about, oh, I don't like it here, this is that, and, poo-pooing the organization, I would have been like, okay, if you don't want to be here, I'm going to ship you out, get more picks, and get a better quarterback. But the GM is playing hardball. He's like, you know what? I'm going to make your life miserable, and I'm not going to trade you. But I think it's a disservice to the organization, in my opinion, because in this draft class, even though it's not a heavy quarterback draft class, there are some gems that can run Kyle Klinsberg's offense and Klinsberry's offense, excuse me. And you could use Kyler Murray as getting a lot of picks. I mean, look at the picks what Miami got when they traded for, Tyreek Hill. You can get probably a couple of number one picks this year, next year, and the year after. So I don't know how the contract, as you said, if there's a no trade clause in there, but if he says he's not trading, there probably isn't a no trade clause.
There's not, because he's on his rookie deal, and I wanted to clear something up from last show when I said he was going into the third year. He's going into the fourth year of his 5-year rookie deal. So he is kind of in a situation where quarterbacks get extensions in that fourth year. So I was completely wrong about that. I was saying that he's not in a position where he should be demanding an extension. He is right there going into year 4, where the team option is next year for year 5. So he's right where quarterbacks start to ask for that extension. So.
But what do you feel that the GM should do? Because right now he said there's no zero chance of no trading him, but I don't agree.
Being that I don't like Kyler Murray, I would never come on and say I'm not going to trade you 0% chance we trade him, because what that does, it sounds like it's closing the door and like laying the hammer down on him, but what it really does is give him all the leverage. They might already feel like he's the leverage if they view him as he has the leverage. If they view him as an elite quarterback, which I don't, and I guess they must. Like I said, Cliff Kingsbury, that was his guy. He chose him. That was his guy. So they probably still view him as that's my guy. So if that's the case, then he really does have all the leverage. And then since you're not going to trade him, like the ball is really all in his court as far as, what he can demand from the team. He's got that blank check that I mentioned last show. So his deal is going to be outrageous, just like what Deshaun Watson got. He's going to go over $200 million. And I guess they feel comfortable paying that. So that's his deal is going to look something like that. It's just a matter of them getting it done. I think it's a big mistake. It's going to set this franchise back. He's not the guy who can get them over the top. I don't see it.
Or they have to get like something has to get done before the season starts, because you
ideally,
can't go in.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go in with oh, he's very salty. And I feel that he can hold out. Like, I think he might not even come into training camp.
I don't really see that. I think if he did that, that would hurt his cause. And that might start to make them get the wheels turning, in their head on actually exploring a trade. I don't think you want to. I don't think you want to go down that road with it. He's in a good position, so leave it there. Leave it on the good terms. The terms aren't ruined yet. He's got his social media is not wiped yet, anymore, so things are starting to recover. Keep it down that road, and he'll get what he wants. It's just a matter of patience at this point.
Yeah.
I don't.
Now,
To me, I wouldn't do it. I think Kingsbury's offense is very quarterback friendly. I think anybody can come in there and make that offense look good. I don't think there's anything special about him that he makes the team or that offense look good. I don't agree with it, but they're going to do it, so it's done.
Yeah. Now the same situation is happening to Baker. I honestly feel that with the talks of Carolina and Seattle getting thrown out there, and no one's really talking about Baker is because I think the organization kind of, as you stated, kind of poo-pooed him in any way possible. But you can't blame the organization. I mean, what he said kind of rubbed them the wrong way too, because they have friends and family who watch the Browns, who come in and see them, and they're like, well, you kind of took the city and kind of put your stinky stamp on it. And if you're going to do that, then we're going to do this. And I don't think he realized how much power GMs have in this league, because you can get blackballed very quickly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't think they've done themselves any favors with regard to his trading him or his trade value. I think they've kind of trashed him the way they've handled the whole thing. They probably should have explored the trade once they got the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Once you go down that road, like, the damage is done as far as repairing anything with Baker. So if you know you're going to do that, they should have made the move then. That was when his value was at its peak. Whatever that peak can be for him, there's not much, but whatever peak value it was there. Now that they've got Watson, teams know that they have to move Baker, and then just how they've handled it has really just tanked his value. What they're going to end up having to do is release him. They're going to have to. Nobody's going to trade for him because they know that the Browns are going to have to make a move. If anybody's interested, nobody should be. But if anybody's interested, you just wait this out. It's dragging. You'd rather have your quarterback in camp and going through in mini camps and going through everything with you. But why rush things along and give up something when you can just wait? Wait, give him a 1-year prove it deal, and then bring him in and see what can happen there. But they've handled this very poorly. No surprise with them being the Browns. Another in the long line of terrible organizations with Washington, Jacksonville. Who else? Cardinals.
Cardinals.
The Bengals had been, but now they got Burrow, so they're turning it around. But the Dolphins, trash organization.
Rolodex. Now, it's funny though, because this also goes into the 49ers is what they're doing with Jimmy G. And surprising news that came out that Debo wants a trade. Debo just wants to get out of there. And is that because that they haven't signed Jimmy G, or they haven't gotten him the quarterback that he thought they were saying that was going to come out?
I don't know how he feels about Trey Lance. I haven't seen enough of him to know how he's going to fare as a quarterback full time. I'm sure Debo and Jimmy G have a good relationship, but I don't think it's that. I think it's money. That's king.
That's always
king. And his role. He has taken a pounding in that hybrid role, and that hurts. That's in the long run. That's going to hurt his value on the receiver market. Receivers are getting paid. He sees that. He wants to partake. But if he stays in this hybrid role for a long term, that's going to hurt his body and his chances of getting that kind of deal. So he's not interested in doing that anymore. And he thinks that if he stays with the Niners, they might say they're going to switch up his role. But unless they pay him and show me that receiver money, and then you can use me however you want. Once I'm locked in, I'm good. But they haven't thrown that contract out there yet. And his attitude about it is just he feels so disrespected that he doesn't think this is a bridge that can be repaired, and so he wants out. I think his likely destination, with them paying Tyreek, it hurts. With the Dolphins, with Mike McDaniel, I think they have a good relationship, so that'd be a good move for him. But I don't know that they can afford him now. Somewhere I would like to see him go is Detroit. First of all, they don't have the cap room to pay him whatever he wants. If he went to that team, they're a playoff team, minimally. They can go far with a guy like him in golf. I want to see that so bad. I don't know if it'll happen. If the Niners might feel like we'll hurt him by sending him to Detroit, and then he'll flourish there. So we'll see. Jimmy G though, What do you think is going to happen with that?
You know what's really going to happen? I think they're going to re-sign Jimmy G.
He's under contract.
Yeah, so I think they're going to extend him because if they wanted to trade him, they would have done it by now. Like even with the injury or whatever, some team would have picked him up and said, "Okay, Keel or whatever." But this has just been dragging and dragging and dragging. It just seems that they're going to extend him. And I feel that Debo is going to get traded to the Raiders because if you look at that team right now,
they can't afford him with Devontae Adams.
I thought they
gave Derek Carr a new contract too.
This is not okay. I'm getting mixed up, but I feel that he's gonna go. I thought he can go to the Raiders because I thought they had the cap room.
I'm sure if they wanted him, they can make it work. Like the cap is not hard. You can make it work if you want to. So
yeah, because I think what they're trying to do is, I think, in my personal opinion, they looked at Cincinnati and how Cincinnati picked them apart with the 3 receivers. They have now you have Devontae. They have one more receiver. I just don't remember his name. And now if you bring in Debo, Josh McDaniels has multiple weapons now, and I don't think Josh McDaniels would use Debo as that hybrid role. He'll just use, hey, you just run the slot, just go to the slot and do your thing. And Devontae, you can go over the top, and that will be a crazy, crazy wide receiver room with Devontae, Debo, and I don't know who that third person is.
You got Hunter Renfrow there too.
That's the one. Oh, isn't he a tight end or is he a hybrid?
He's
a slot receiver. Okay. But regardless of that's an A+ level, in my opinion, wide receiver room. If you have those 3 individuals in that same kind of atmosphere, if they can't sign him, I think he can flourish even if he goes to Detroit, playoff team, straight up playoff team. As you state, playoff. And I have a soft spot for Detroit. I always feel bad for them every year. They try to do something and they don't.
Yeah, I'm really rooting for them this year. Dan Campbell seems like a cool coach. I want to see them do well. There are some Commanders fans kind of reaching at Debo too, but that will cost them McLaurin too. And I wouldn't trade McLaurin for Debo. I'd rather have McLaurin. I think they need to pay him already. They need to get this done.
Yeah.
This situation, if you move on from him, like it looks like they might be, I don't know what's going on. It looks like they might be going down that road. If you move on from him, you're gonna have to bring in somebody. Why not pay a homegrown kid? Like first of all, he seems like a great guy. He doesn't seem like a diva receiver. He surely could be. The talent is there. Just pay him and keep him. Like for once, pay a good player and keep him in house. Like let's get this done already.
Yeah, because they're saying that I was reading somewhere they're like, oh, we made Jonathan Allen's deal later on in the summer after mini camp and all that noise. But I'm like, okay, first of all, you're talking about a defensive lineman. Okay, I'm not saying Jonathan Allen's not important. He's a very critical part. He had a great year, great season. But wide receiver is where they make their money in the sense that they get the ball. But I feel that they'll get the deal done. They'll get the deal done some way, shape, or form. It's just that it should have been done sooner. And they're waiting and waiting for what God only knows. As I stated on the thing, if he leaves, I don't know. That might be the last for me because this organization, I've been with them since early 80s, 84 to now. That's a long time to be with one organization going through ups and downs. I've seen the mountain, I've seen the ditch, and I've seen all the way in between. And if this happens, I don't know what else I can do. I can't go back to the ditch anymore. It's not a pretty thing. And this will obviously tell me that they're not an organization to be trusted.
Yeah, they need to get it done before the season starts, but we'll see what happens. We can go ahead and switch gears here. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get into some NBA playoff action. Talking Hats will be right back. We are back from the break here, Talking Hats. We're going to get into some NBA playoff action. I'm going to kick it over to Harish so he can go ahead and eat some crow there. Harish, go ahead and get us started.
So, as I stated on the previous show that I thought Denver can beat the Golden State Warriors. Yeah, that's not looking like it's going to happen anytime soon. They're up. Golden State's up. The Warriors are up 3-0. This series is over. I mean, they're playing tonight. The series is over. They're playing tomorrow night. Okay, that series is over. It's going to be a sweep. Dale called it's going to be a sweep. I have nothing more to say because people I thought and he thought were going to play are not playing. And this shows that they need to fire the coach. They need to let the coach go.
They just extended him, so that's not going to happen. Just extended him.
I mean, weirder stuff has happened, bro. You can extend, can't you? Like also let them go and pay the extension out. Say we don't want you anymore.
I mean, if you fired him, you got to pay out every penny. But I don't think he's the problem. I haven't been his biggest fan by any means. I have kind of dumped on him earlier in the season. But I can't put this on him. Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray put out a tweet earlier this week saying, y'all really think I don't want to be out there at SMH? Okay. The news has come out that you've been medically cleared to play. The team has cleared you to play. So if you don't want to be out there, like if you want to be out there, who's stopping you? Like all we're just left to assume at this point because nobody's telling the fans anything. So all I can do is be like, you don't want to play basketball. That's what it looks like. If that's not the case, tell me something different. No, you don't owe us anything, but then don't tweet, y'all don't think I want to be out there. Like my opinion is what it is because that's what I'm left to see. What it looks like to me is you don't want to play basketball. So my opinion is formed around that. If you don't want my opinion to be that, and it looks like you don't, if you don't want my opinion to be that, tell me something different. Tell me my knee hurts. Tell me mentally I'm not there. I'll even respect that. If you say mentally I'm not there, I've been injured. I know how it feels to come out after an injury and try to play and it's in the back of your mind. I wouldn't want you doing that. So tell me that mentally I'm not there. Say something. Otherwise, don't question my opinion as a fan. All I can see is it looks like y'all don't want to play. Because I've seen you warming up. You look fine. You look perfectly fine. Look like you could have been playing since December from what I've seen. So if something is different, tell me. Otherwise, my opinion is what it is and it's formed around what I see. So disappointed. I called it though. I said it was going to be a sweep.
Yeah. And give credit where credit's due, man. Like the Warriors have a defensive game plan. They came out, they stopped who they needed to stop. I mean, you can't say anything about them. They look like they're unbeatable now.
The Warriors are going to win it all, but this could have been a series if either one of them guys played.
Yeah. And what Jamal Murray's forgetting is this is probably the best playoffs in years that people are putting up numbers.
Yeah.
And historically. And it's
next
sad.
year, man, people always say next year. You can't. What if Jokic goes out in the first game next year and gets hurt? Like this is it.
Yeah.
There's no next year. You don't know. You might tear your ACL again in the offseason. You can't play for next year. We live right now. We live in the present. So you can't be like, you can't always say next year. Next year something happens. Okay, next year. Next year something. Next year. No, we're here now. This could have been the year.
Yep. And because the future is not guaranteed.
Nope.
It's the present. And he doesn't. I don't think he understands. If he does, then you don't know what else is going on in his head. But if you look at the other series, how amazingly they are. Like people will be talking about these playoffs for a very long time, and you missed out to put your name into that echelon of the in the NBA.
Yeah,
and
that was a good
sad.
segue. That's a good segue into the next series I wanted to talk about, which is the Boston and Brooklyn series, where Tatum, as we mentioned this. Like this was if y'all need if this is your first time listening to our show. You got to go back and listen to when we were talking about Jason Tatum and how this series was going to go, because we were all in. We said Mamba mentality on Jason Tatum. We called it we're freaking psychics. We said Jason Tatum Mamba mentality. Jason Tatum has taken over. Even last game when Brooklyn was up, like it looked like it was going to be tied up 1-1. Tatum was like, "Nope, I got this." Man, this series has blown my mind. I didn't expect Brooklyn to be this bad and depth is hurting them. I think you said that. Harry said their depth was going to hurt them. And Kyrie and KD are worn out. Kyrie's worn out because he's fasting. I get it. It's Ramadan. I get that. That sucks that it fell during this time of year for him. And he looks depleted. In that first game, he didn't score in the fourth quarter. That's not Kyrie. So that's hurting him. KD is just, he's gassed. So Brooklyn, David was texting me last night. He said, Brooklyn, you got to go all in on Brooklyn tonight for gambling. It's like, this is going to be the game. I don't see it. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a sweep. So
the thing is, they'll take one game, because they're playing in Brooklyn. They'll take tonight. I think they'll take tonight.
If they lose tonight, it's over.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hands down. But the issue for them is Jason Tatum. How are you going to stop Jason Tatum? And you have to give credit where credit is due. Is they're playing amazing defense. And when they say length kills because
and they have the defensive player of the year.
Yes, Marcus Smart. Do. Yes. Even though I'm not a big fan of Marcus Smart.
Me neither. But he's playing his butt off in this series, though.
He is.
I don't like him, but he is.
I mean, well-deserved award for the defensive player, well-deserved award. I mean, you have to give where it is due. But this is what we kind of envision the Wizards being in the next future, is that length and defensive prowess. How the Celtics, they controlled KD in game 1 and game 2 by that, even though he got his.
They're being very physical with him,
and that's what we said all along is if you're physical with certain players, they get kind of intimidated and they will try to do things that they normally wouldn't do. KD, yes, he'll score 40 points, but he doesn't have the body to go up against people who are a little bit bigger than him. And Jason Tatum, he comes across and helps. Jaylen Brown, yes, he thinks he's the star on the Celtics. He's not the star. Okay.
I'll give him credit. It looks like he's kind of accepted his role as Robin now. And it wasn't like that before.
No.
That's made all the difference.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, like he should have understood that from day one.
He should have, because he's not on a level as far as talent as Jason Tatum. But they were, I wouldn't say they were close early on, but he was at a position where he's a good enough player, and trade demand started to come out too. He's a good enough player that he could have gone to another team and been like maybe a Beal type on another team. But on this team, his role needs to be what it is now, and he's accepted that, and they're going to win for it. They're going to go to the finals against the Warriors, and they'll lose there, but they'll be in the finals.
Oh, so you're saying that that they're going to go all the way
Celtics
to
Warriors.
Celtics Warriors. Wow, that'll be a great matchup too.
And
sweep. No way.
4-1 Warriors.
4-1 Warriors. Okay, but I don't know, man. The way they kind of came back with this, that would be pretty. Because they were down in both series. The Celtics were down both series, and they came back. And that leads into my next one is Atlanta.
Oh, we didn't. One quick mention before, just one quick mention about that series is Ben Simmons is due back. I don't know if it's tonight or they're saying game 4. If he's smart, he'll come back tonight. He will. I don't love him, but defensively, he's great. So they need that. They need him to guard Tatum. If they can do that, that will be the difference maker. So, and that'll help take some pressure off KD and Kyrie too. We don't have to get into all of that again. I just wanted to mention that.
Just to touch on that one real quick. I don't think it's going to matter, because when you're at that like mentality level, it doesn't matter who you get put on. Like they'll score on you regardless. They'll find a way to score. And Tatum, if they do put Ben Simmons on Tatum, I think has grown into the role of I don't care anymore. I just don't care.
I agree, and I hope that's true.
And we'll see. And if we're wrong, we'll admit it. But I don't see that happening. I just don't, because they've put everybody they can think of on Jason Tatum, and he has had his. In the last few seconds of the game, he has the ball in his hands, and he cherishes it. And as Dale has stated, and I have stated, it should have been that all along, and the Celtics team would have been a different team altogether. Yes, but here nor there.
He's only 24 years old.
Yep. Which is crazy.
Insane.
But
go ahead.
The Atlanta Hawks. I like what Trae Young is doing. Always. I love it, because he said, I knew that ball was going in the last second shot. But I don't know if they can win the series. But I have a my gut is telling me this is going to be the Trae Young show going forth. It's going to be the Trae Young show. He's going to take over games, and that's why, even though I said they may not win it, I think he kind of realizes that he has to take over. No one else is doing anything. No one. Yeah. I mean, except for Bogdanovich, who actually does come. He was hot. That was an insane. I mean, you have to give credit when credit was due. He was shooting lights out, and Trae Young kind of followed that in the next game. But it's going to be a heavy dose of Trae Young and like Capella. I don't see why they can't run the pick and roll more. I mean, it works for them always, but I don't know what they're doing differently it shouldn't have been that close in the first place. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think they were down 14.
Yeah,
with 9 minutes to go in the game or something like that.
Absolutely right. Yeah,
and then they came back. The Heat blew that. That might screw with their psyche going forward. If the Hawks can somehow pull out this next game in Atlanta, this is really a series that can go 7. And then in the 7th game, I'm taking the team with the best player, and that's Trae Young. I'm going to finally put some respect on the Heat's name. Spoelstra, of course, deserves it. He's the best coach in the league, in my opinion. But in Game 7, I'm taking the best player, not the best coach. They better get their act together and win the next game. Where they're in real danger. Yeah, this will go 7 if they lose the next game, and Trae Young is going to pull that out in Game 7 too. My prediction.
Nice. So then, what about the Dallas Mavericks?
The Mavericks have playoff Jordan and Jalen Brunson. This dude, 40 and then 31. Where did this come from? Was Luka holding him back? Like, what is going on with this? He was solid, but where is this coming from? Good grief. Do they need Luka back? From them, I hold him out one more game. Even if he's ready to go, I'll give him another game to help because I know how those calf strains are. Let Brunson try to carry the show again for another game. Even if you lose it, it's 2-2. And then Luka comes back and you can finish it off. They're a better team than the Jazz. The Jazz stink because they have Rudy Gobert. Trash player, overpaid. Donovan Mitchell, I like him, respect, but he can't do it on his own. Yeah, I don't hold Luka out one more time, and then if you need him for the next game, go ahead and bring him in to close this thing out.
Yeah, because that was crazy, man. Like going back to back and 70-some points totally for game 1 and 2. That's not easy to do, and especially against the Jazz defense. On the
biggest stage, man. He's getting it done.
And the thing is, how well is Dinwiddie playing? I haven't checked his box score lately, but is he stepping in correctly with
Yeah, he's very steady.
He's very steady.
Very steady hand at the point.
Yeah. Okay, that's all. I mean,
that's all you need.
That's all you need, and I think he'll go off in game 4. I think he'll go Dinwiddie? Off in not Dinwiddie.
Oh, Brunson?
Yeah, Brunson will go off because Dinwiddie. Listen, if you wanted to go off, he should have went off by now. But we're not talking about.
That would be nice. They could use it, but
they could.
Brunson is handling it though.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun to see Luka back on because Luka does bring that another gear and another attention to the game, and it's always fun when he plays basketball. I just love seeing him play for just his trash talking, his antics, his body language. It's amazing, and that's what the Mavericks right now are kind of missing, in my opinion. They don't have that kind of flair, even though he's scoring. God, you just said his name. My brain is just getting kind of 40-point, 30-point.
Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, Jalen Brunson. Like, since he does it, but the thing is, there's no flair. I mean, if I was scoring,
he's just a bulldog. He's just coming at you.
Yeah, I mean, and he's not is he a rookie or is he a second-year player?
No, he's I don't know what year he's in. He's not a rookie though. His dad played in the league, Rick Brunson.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I remember his dad. His dad, I think his dad played with LeBron at one point. So
did he really? Wow, okay. That was a long time.
But yeah, they're up 2-1. So they're in the driver's seat. No rush with Luka. Let him rest up and then we'll see what happens. I think they're gonna close this one out though.
I think they will too.
Yeah. So the Bucks stay afloat despite Chris Middleton's injury. The Bulls went out there and laid an egg. DeRozan, people were thinking he got over his playoff hump, but he showed that this is just, he had one good game, but then he's back to his normal self in the playoffs. Unfortunately, I like him. I like him as a player and a guy. It's just this is not the time of year for him. And that showed they stunk it up. They got blown out. Yeah. Even Thanasis Antetokounmpo was out there throwing down dunks. When that's happening, it's bad. The Bucks are they're up 3-1 at this point.
They were up, I think 3-1.
Yeah, the Bulls I think won their first game in Chicago. The Bucks won the first 2 in Milwaukee, I believe. I'm making that up. Somebody called me out. I think they're up 3-1. They're gonna close out in the next game. This series is over. I said sweep, but 4-1, I'll take that.
Yeah, that's not bad. But what's really crazy is the Suns without Devin Booker.
Yeah,
I think Devin Booker is the most underrated player in the NBA, in my opinion. He doesn't get the.
He's a top 3 player.
Oh, easily.
He's always been my guy. So.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, he's the Jason Tatum of the Phoenix Suns, in my opinion, because even though Chris Paul is the main ball handler, he took over game 2 without Booker, and Booker's injury. I hate to say it, that may be a big blow to the Suns, even though he's out. They say he's out 3 to 4 weeks, or it was a pretty, I didn't think he would be out that long, but if that's the case, I don't think the Suns can win without him. They'll win the first series, but I don't think they can go past the first, because without Devin Booker, I don't know how long Chris Paul can do the scoring for them, because they do have secondary and third scoring. They do have a pretty deep bench, but it's another kind of chess match you have to play. Now you don't have to worry about Devin Booker. You have to worry about Chris Paul. And And then the huge centers, I love their center. Their center is probably I just like the way he plays. You can take him out of the game easily too without that. So it's going to be it's sad. I thought the Suns can go to the at least to the Eastern Conference Championship this year, but not gonna happen.
Yeah, Booker, what I think that does to them is it really hurts their depth. And not even the guys will play more, just the Chris Paul, he's having to take so much on his shoulders. If he were 5 years younger, I'd say he'd be fine doing it. But this is going to catch up with him. It's just too much. This last game was closer than it should have been, and he had to do too much down the stretch. I think that will catch up with him in the next game. That game is going to be closer than it should be, and the Pelicans can pull that one out. This series might go longer. It might be extended because of Booker's injury, and if that happens, they can still win it. But like you said, next round, they're going to be in some real danger because they'll be so just diminished from having to fight so hard in something that should have been a sweep. So this is it's going to be tough for them going forward. They should get this series, but after that could be it.
It's going to be hard.
Yeah. Then
come to the failing Phillies against Toronto. Even though they lost in overtime, I think this is going to go 7. Embiid's hurt.
Is Embiid hurt?
Yeah, his thumb apparently is pretty badly injured. I mean, I read that this morning. But even with that, all that noise in there, I don't think they're going to get past Toronto. They're not Toronto took them to overtime, and Embiid's supposed to be this high-level MVP player. What's happening? Is it Doc Rivers like magic that's they always lose in the playoffs? I mean,
now if Toronto comes back and somehow makes this a series, they're down 3-0. If they come back and make this a series, this will be the greatest upset of sports history. If Embiid is hurt, then it can happen. I didn't hear about him being hurt. If that's true, that hurts. So I'm gonna have to check into that after the game, because if that's the case, I'd be throwing some cash at this.
Yeah, because I read his thumb. They don't know how his thumb got injured, but apparently it's pretty painful. So, I mean, I don't know if he's going to take a cortisone shot or whatever medicine he's going to be taking to kind of like alleviate the pain. But when you catch that ball in the post, I mean, because I was reading that in the practice that they weren't swiping at his hand, but in the game situation is different. Yeah. So people are going to swipe they shouldn't do this, but they purposely will swipe at that hand just to test it out, see how it is, to see if he can still kind of maintain his thing. But we'll see. I mean, it'll be, even though they're down 3-0, I just have a feeling that the overtime game might have took out a lot in Philly, and they may kind of fumble in game 4, and they'll lose their first game. And then with that, if Embiid's injury is as serious as it is, Toronto may make a storm back, and that'll be a pretty crazy storm back.
Yeah, they're not a team you ever count out with Nick Nurse at coach. So who knows? We'll see what can happen there.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. So that is it for the playoffs there, for the NBA playoffs. We can get into some hockey talk here and going to wrap up the show. I think that's all we've got for this week. Starting off the hockey talk, we went to the Caps and Avalanche game. And then before the game, my little boy got one of TJ Oshie's sticks. That's pretty sweet. Thanks, Caps. And then Nick Dowd came over and threw us a puck too. So he got himself a puck and a stick at the game. So all the fans are looking at him kind of jealous. So that's a good deal. That ended up working out. And then the Caps go out there and win the game. So all in all, a great night for them. Great night for us. That was a lot of fun.
That game, I have to say, was like a prelude if those two teams make it to the Stanley Cup. Yeah, that was an amazing game.
It was very intense.
Yeah, I was up and I'm like, oh my God. Like I was like, my eyes were shutting like so crazy. And I was like, I gotta watch this game. But back and forth, I mean, it could have gone either way. I mean, both goalies played a heck of a game. I mean, it was back and forth, back and forth. Luckily, the Caps won. Our team can't complain with that. But man, if that's what is a prelude, if those two teams make the Stanley Cup, I think this will be the highest rating Stanley Cup ever in NHL history if those two teams make it.
I agree. After the next day, some radio guys here were saying that game was played at playoff intensity, and it absolutely was. They were smacking each other around on the ice, lots of big hits, and then just the speed and the flow of the game. It had that playoff atmosphere, and I think it was because these two teams know that they can meet down the road.
Mhm.
People are counting the Caps out, and that's stupid. This team has been there, battle tested. If anybody can
Mhm.
get there from the 8th seed, they can, and they might get up
Yep.
to 7th. So we'll see how this
And
all plays out.
this is a crazy stat I saw this morning too,
Mhm.
and they're 28 and something away from Capital One Arena.
Wow,
They're almost like the best road team, the number one road team in the league, and which tells me is this reminds me of the
that's
2018
something.
Caps. That's a huge because that reminds me of the 2018 when they won the Stanley Cup. Is they were better on the road than they were at home,
Mhm.
and this team has a little bit of resemblance. The goalie play is what little kind of scares me a little bit.
Mhm.
It's just and their mental lapse. But I think they can shape that up in the playoffs. I think Laviolette will play a little bit more of a defensive. Most teams will play a more defensive game and not try to give up as much as offensive thing. But they have to be careful because any kind of mental lapse against any team is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
So I just feel that I can't wait for the playoffs. And as you stated in our pre-show, once the Avs lost to the Capitals, they're on a losing streak.
Yeah, they've got a couple of guys out with injuries, but this is not the time in the season when you want to start losing that momentum. I don't like it for them, but they're the 1 seed, so whoever they're playing shouldn't be too much of a test in the first round. But you never know with hockey. But when they get Landeskog back and guys off injury, I think they'll be fine. It's dangerous to lose momentum at this point, but I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. And the Caps are, I mean, since they lost to Vegas in OT, which was kind of rough. I don't like Vegas. Like even though they like when they beat them in the Stanley Cup Finals, people are like, "Oh, it was just Vegas." I'm like, do you know how hard it is to win a Stanley Cup? Like it's not easy. I mean, it doesn't matter who goes to the finals. And that year Vegas was the only like team that was kind of like blowing everybody out the water, and they were the first expansion team to do so.
Yep.
So they were no fluke either. And and to beat them in Vegas was a huge thing too. That's why I loved it the most. And this Caps team can do that too this year. And I hope they do because they won against the Coyotes 2-0 last night. And they're just uptight.
They're the worst team in the league.
I was surprised they didn't score like 10 goals.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because they're on the uptick now, right? They're getting hot at the right moment. And if they go into the playoffs at the 7th, as you said, 7th or 8th seed, they're going to be a very, very dangerous team. Very dangerous.
They play the Panthers in the first round. The Panthers are much faster than them. So they'll have to beat them up to hang with them, but they can beat them. I know they can beat them. It'll just be tough.
It's going to be a great series. And it'd be great to see and to knock off the number 1 seed. And and then in all honesty, I didn't expect them to be in the bottom 2 in the ranking, but that shows how like amazing that conference is.
Yeah,
how much talent. Yeah. So with that, I don't think we have anything else to say.
That's right. We can go and wrap up the show for this week.
Yes.
As always, thank y'all for sticking with us. Like, subscribe, support, spread the word. Support us, we'll support you. Whatever y'all want us to follow, just throw us a link on Twitter or email or whatever. Hit us up and we will support. I do listen to other shows, so return the favor and let's grow together. Talking Hats, we're out for this week. Peace out.
Peace.